Good evening and welcome to South Royalton, Vermont. Yay! All right. I feel like I'm at a rock concert, say the name of the town, get applause. So welcome to the awards ceremony as we're celebrating the weekend for the class of 2023 commencement. It's so wonderful to see all of you here today, students, families. I'm going to get another round of applause here. Can we hear for the family members who have come here today? Because we all know we're here to honor the students who are walking, but you wouldn't be here without all the support. What you just did over the past year or several years has been really tough. And those of you who are invited here have been nominated for awards that show you not only achieved, but you super achieved. You went above and beyond in many, many different areas, and that doesn't happen alone. So thank you to all the families who came here today to represent your graduate and honor us with your presence. We're really excited to go through and have the awards that we're giving out here today. And afterwards, we are going to have a soiree out on the back of Chase Lawn, the first of many free meals over the next day or so. I know how to get the applause, don't I? But just wanted to welcome you here. I don't know if I said, I'm Joe Brennan. I'm the Vice Dean for Students here. And just so happy to have you here. And I am going to get the show on the road and turn it over to Dean McCormick, who is going to introduce our first award. Dean McCormick.
Hello, and congratulations, class of 2023. I have the honor to present the American Legal Institute Continuing Legal Education Scholarship and Leadership Award. This award is presented to the law student in the graduating class who best represents a combination of scholarship and leadership, the qualities of the American Law Institute. Since this is the first award of the evening, I'll let you know what our little tradition is here on awards night. We bury the lead for a while and say all these great things about the award recipient until they're finally identified and still have to sit there for a while we say even more great things about them, and then we make them come up here to your applause. So here we go. I asked around faculty, staff, and students for some words to describe this award winner. Here's what I got. Diligent, energetic, early bird, ambitious, confident, considerate, determined, kind, always helping, gets stuff done, honest to a fault, hardworking, detail-oriented like no other, generous, team player, known for a little no-nonsense tough love when her friends are stressed, makes the best Sicilian pasta, loves sharks, and last but not least, manages stress by drinking Coca-Cola compulsively. The award winner's resume is incredible and makes me understand why she needs all that caffeine. She was the managing editor of the Vermont Law Review and the first runner-up in the notes competition, writing an article on this topic, Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare, reviewing the Algorithmic Accountability Act in light of the European Artificial Intelligence Act. Wow. Not a beach read. She served on the Moot Court Advisory Board, participated in the Emory Moot Court competition, and was a finalist in the Deborah Voice competition, and won the Academic Excellence Award in about 100 classes. She was a teaching assistant for the two worst classes, Ledge, Reg, and Property, only because they're hard. She was an extern at the Vermont Defender General Appellate Division and a summer intern at the Vermont Supreme Court and a clinician in the South Royalton Legal Clinic. Despite these accolades, what I hear most about her is the way she helped her peers during her service as an academic success mentor, helping, mentoring, and tutoring students in all aspects of the law school experience. I have a personal story about this student too, because she was in my civil procedure class during our fully virtual pandemic year. But she came to office hours religiously, always with a tidy agenda, an efficient meeting style, but always a kind word. And it was that connection during all those months alone at home that really touched me. As Vice President Jefferson always reminds me, sometimes we are the teachers and sometimes we are the students. There will be a Clelia-sized hole on this campus after tomorrow when she leaves us to clerk for the New Hampshire Superior Court. But please join me in welcoming to the stage and congratulating Clelia Kashola on winning the Ali Klee Award. And now I'd like to call to the stage Professor Margaret Olnick.
Hello. I am presenting the National Association of Women Lawyers Outstanding Law Student Award. I had this student in 2 of my classes, and I was in the fortunate position to have a front row seat to watch her grow naturally and seemingly effortlessly into a highly competent, confident, budding attorney. Whether it was as a student ambassador or a notes editor on the Journal of Environmental Law, she worked hard and she was a model to many. And she garnered the respect of faculty, students, and staff. This past year, she took the reins as president of the Women's Law Society, and what a year it was. This student was organized with PowerPoints and everything, and under her powerful leadership, this group really got things done. Events were scheduled all year long, and it was an audacious agenda. First, this past fall, she hit the ground running with a session for the group on how to cope with the changing landscape on women's reproductive rights. She also helped organize a career panel for women in the law, the Get Out the Vote table in the hallway, a self-defense class. She also created a partnership with Let's Grow Kids. It's a campaign to promote affordable, accessible childcare in Vermont. She co-sponsored with the Student Bar Association, Speed Dating with the Professors. It's not what you think. Students went in groups from table to table and got an opportunity to meet with their professors individually and build connections. It was a really fun event. And then finally, our fundraiser to raise awareness for domestic violence, where she helped raise $4,500 for 2 local organizations working to end domestic violence. Most importantly, this student led this happy, cohesive group with vision and enthusiasm, something we know this world could use more of. I will greatly miss our talks about life, love, and women in the practice of law. Here's your charge. Go out there, follow your heart, and do good. I wish I could have made this more of a surprise, but there's no way to hide that this award belongs to Erica Calderon. And now I'd like to turn it over to Dean Jennifer Rushla. We're supposed to take a picture. I just wanted the hug mostly. Okay. You're on.
Hello. I have the privilege of presenting the Mark Mahaly Environmental Leadership Award. This award is presented to the student that demonstrates leadership in the field of environmental law. This student came to VLGS after an auspicious start to their legal career in Cuba, with a practice in international commercial law, including at the National Cuban Electric Utility. They came to VLGS to pursue an LLM in energy law as our Global Energy Fellow. During their time at VLGS, they engaged in teaching and research projects related to beneficial electrification, improving energy management in the agriculture sector, and more. Her post-graduation plans include working as an international energy professional in addressing crucial topics related to the energy transition within the US and worldwide. I'm pleased to present the Mark Mahaly Environmental Leadership Award to Marnie Avila Alvarez. Which I accept on her behalf. And now I'd like to turn it over to Dean Lisa Ryan, who is our Associate Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Good evening. I have the pleasure of presenting the Diversity Award tonight. The Diversity Award recognizes a student who has inspired multicultural awareness in the Vermont Law and Graduate School community. The recipient of this award has a Bachelor of Arts in Ethnic Studies and Political Science from the University of California, San Diego. During their time here at VLGS, they have engaged in various roles. They were the staff and articles editor for the Vermont Law Review, participated on the PACE Environmental Moot Court team and was a member of the Moot Court Advisory Board, and was a 3L Senator for the Student Bar Association. As co-chair of the Latinx American and Caribbean Law Students Association, also known as LULSA, they were instrumental in creating cultural events to honor and celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month and Dios de los Muertos, and have worked hard to enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives on campus. In September, the student will be starting a year-long judicial clerkship for the Anchorage, Alaska District Court. Their plans are then to return home to their state of California and study for the bar exam. This student hopes to work in the environmental law field. I am so honored to present the Diversity Award to Luis Gonzalez. Who is not here, but I will accept on his behalf. And next, I'd like to welcome up Sarah Babcock, who is the Vermont Law Review Editor-in-Chief.
Hi, everyone. So tonight I have the honor of presenting 2 awards, and those are the winners of Vermont Law Review's annual writing competitions. Thank you to everyone in this room if you have also submitted papers. We had amazing submissions from everyone. It was kind of hard to choose, actually. But our first writing competition, the Vermont Law Review established the Chase Paper Writing Competition to recognize excellence in writing. The competition is named for the late Jonathan B. Chase, who was the 3rd Dean of Vermont Law and Graduate School, and this room's namesake. A committee comprised of members of the Vermont Law Review Volume 47 and the Volume 48 Senior Editorial Boards anonymously chose this winner based on just the writing. The winning paper discusses the theory of a global climate wealth tax, including the differences between income and wealth, the necessity of implementing an international climate wealth tax, and the design features of said tax. The writer of this paper graduates tomorrow with us, with post-VLGS plans of studying for the bar and heading to Paris to present for the 24th Global Conference on Environmental Taxation. The winner of the Jonathan B. Chase paper competition is Vanessa Fetter for her paper titled A Global Climate Wealth Tax to Fund a Worldwide Just Transition. Okay. And so our second one is the Ballinger Green Paper Competition. The Vermont Law Review established the Ballinger Green Memorial Paper to provide Vermont Law and Graduate School students with a forum to explore issues of human diversity and the law through legal scholarship. The competition recognizes and remembers Chandra Ballinger, class of 02, and Orlando Green, class of 01, and what they contributed to the law school community in their names. Chandra and Orlando were exemplary VLGS students who passed away abruptly during their law school careers. This paper must address issues of human diversity in the law, such as race, culture, religion, sexual orientation, environmental justice, international rights, or any other human diversity issue. Again, a committee comprised of members of the Vermont Law Review, Volume 47 and 48 Senior Editorial Boards anonymously chose one submission to be the Ballinger Green Memorial Paper. The winning paper tackled the issue of military policy surrounding transgender individuals and military service and analyzes whether there's a constitutional right to military service under the Second Amendment. This writer is a rising 3L, actually, and her current post-graduation plans are to sit for the bar, clerk, and find an avenue to practice constitutional law. She hopes to use the legal knowledge gained at VLGS, in addition with the restorative and environmental lens VLGS offers, to advocate for those who currently lack constitutional protections. The winner of the Jonathan B. Chase paper competition is Amy Vetter for her paper titled Uncle Sam Wants You Unless You're Trans, How Green v. McElroy Allows Discrimination in the Military. Amy could not be here, but I believe she's watching online, so hopefully she could hear all this clapping. And next I'd like to introduce Jill Martin-Diaz, Assistant Professor at the LGS.
Thank you, and hi everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to the International Academy of Trial Lawyers Award winner. This is, I had to do a little bit of research to understand the background of this institution. They are a group of, quote, truly elite lawyers who are making a difference around the world on such initiatives such as restorative justice and anti-trafficking. They were founded in the 1950s, and they're a super prestigious international group of folks. And we at the LGS offer this award to a graduate who is distinguished for the art and science of advocacy. Advocacy is how I move through the world. Not only as an immigration attorney and the immigration clinic director, but as a faculty member and someone who has really found my calling being here in support of all of you incredible students. So this particular awardee, who I was very, very glad to nominate, is someone who joined us, well, this person joined me 3 semesters ago in my immigration law seminar. It was the first time I was teaching it. And it turns out me and this person both joined the VLGS community at the same time in the infamous quarantine year. And so she trusted me with a few credits of her time and then joined the clinic and graced us with another 18 credits of her time. And now, 3 semesters later, I'm super, super proud to watch this person graduate and enter the profession, hopefully, as an immigration lawyer. This law student really understands advocacy, meaningful advocacy, as the act of advocacy by and with communities, not just for communities. This is a person who is a Latina from El Paso, Texas. She has come and provided really, really incredible service to the non-citizen Vermonters who we serve across the state. I have so many anecdotes about the work that she's done at the clinic. She spent a full-time docket managing a caseload, helping us to begin writing the first special immigrant juvenile status practice manual. She helped represent 2 youth from Brazil who have a whole cadre of attorneys and co-counsels and DCF support workers to help them pursue lawful permanent residence and green cards. There was a lesbian asylum seeker from Benin who got the addresses mixed up and was going to meet me in our Burlington office, but showed up here at the South Royalton office. And this person, without missing a beat, was like, I'll take it, and went ahead and did the intake and presented me with a strong case theory and helped this person pursue a path to permanency that will let them live their safe and true full queer self here in the United States. This person, the advocacy extends beyond the classroom, right? This is not the kind of person who puts their hand up necessarily to be the face of a movement. She doesn't go for the glory. She's not someone who you might know from a long list of kind of the leadership positions. Hers is the unsung hero, quiet leadership, where she leads alongside and leads from behind and leads by example and with her heart. I know she took the job of advanced clinician very, very seriously with us at the clinic this semester, and was very integral to the success of a lot of other newer clinicians' work. One clinician even let me know during case rounds, individual rounds, oh, don't worry, Julia assigned me blank, blank, blank. I was like, what? Assigned me? That's the kind of leader that Julia Alvarez Ramirez is. Julia I hear, is single-handedly responsible for the group of LALSA students who did so well in my immigration law exam last week. It was because Julia organized a renegade review class for them last week. That's the kind of leader that Julia is, and that's the kind of advocacy that she does. So Julia, please come up here and be weird and be proud, because you are an amazing advocate, and it's our pleasure to watch you graduate. Someone please give her a job here so she doesn't go back to Texas. Now, I'm going to go have feelings and leave you with the amazing Assistant Director of the Center for Justice Reform and class of the Masters of Restorative Justice 2023, Alana Ojibwe.
I am going to pull an audible and start with recognizing this student, because I was told we could do either or, and I want to let you know who this wonderful person is right now. So this award is the inaugural first time we've created an award for restorative leadership, and in large part, in sole part, honestly, because we needed to find a way to recognize the significant contributions of this student and her role with this program, this school, and the wider community. It is my sincere pleasure to present this inaugural award of restorative leadership. This award has been created to recognize a student who not only demonstrates outstanding service and leadership to our program in the school, but someone who truly embodies the best version of what restorative values look like in practice as an example to the wider community. I couldn't be more excited to share that this award is going to Masters in Restorative Justice alum Carla Barron. Carla graduated from the Marge in 2020 and has since gone on to work as a mitigation specialist with the San Bernardino County Public Defender with their newly created Second Chance Unit. Through this work, Carla has continued to carry along with her the same commitment to community organizing and equity that she brought with her and shared during her time here as a student. Carla's journey to arrive where she is today has not been an easy path. She is a first-generation Chicana student and activist who has carried with her this vibrant and fierce resiliency through her path, going from community college to earning her bachelor's, and last year, now her graduate degree. Carla's pursuit to obtain a graduate degree in restorative justice was inspired in large part after the tragic loss of her younger brother, Mauricio, who was killed in 2016 by law enforcement. In Mauricio's name, along with the many ancestors and histories that have shaped her past, Carla represents the best possible version of what we can hope to see in our systems of justice today. She is compassionate. She treats all those around her with respect and humility. She stands up for those whose voices are often silenced, and she gives genuine time, love, and nurture better than almost anyone I know to the relationships in her life, both personally and professionally. During her time here as a student, Carla was involved in just about every student group and committee there was available to her, but particularly involved with the Diversity Committee and others related to the Restorative Justice Program. Even as an alumni, Carla remained consistently involved in many of these initiatives and continues to serve as a mentor for students, participate in events, and advocate for the ways this school community can become an increasingly equitable and inclusive environment for all of our students. I could take up the rest of this ceremony time speaking to the power and importance of Carla's legacy here, but I want to close with a quick story that I think speaks to this lasting impact best. The story goes like this. A young girl went to her grandmother's house and told her about the difficult things that were happening in her life at the time. She was tired of these ongoing struggles and was feeling ready to give up fighting. Her grandmother took her to the kitchen, began boiling 3 pots of water. Once the water came to a boil, she placed in the first pot an egg, in the second pot a carrot, and in the third pot coffee beans. In about 15 minutes, she turned off the burners and asked her granddaughter, "What do you see?" "I don't know, carrots, eggs, and coffee." "What's the point of this, Grandma?" Her grandma explained that each of these objects had faced the same adversity, boiling water, but each reacted differently. The carrot went in strong, hard, and unrelenting. However, after being subjected to the boiling water, it softened and became weak. The egg had been fragile. Its thin outer shell had protected its liquid interior, but after sitting through boiling water, its inside became hardened. The ground coffee beans, however, after they were exposed to boiling water, they transformed themselves, and in doing so, changed the water itself. There's no doubt, for anyone that knows Carla, you are the coffee bean in this story and in the world. You hold the unique ability to embrace challenges that come your way and transform them into a source of strength, not only for you, but through empowering those around you. Through this ability, you inspire others to become a better version of themselves along the way. I know you have for me. Carla, thank you for all you've done to help make this school and the wider community a more restorative place. Keep transforming the water around you. It's such an honor to present this award to you today. And next, I have the honor to present our Director of the Center for Justice Reform, Stephanie Clark, who will be giving the second Restorative Leadership Award.
Thank you so much, and it's so great to see all of you, and thank you in particular to the family members for being here today. So I am going to award the second award for restorative leadership, and again, this award goes to a Master of Arts in Restorative Justice or joint degree student for their outstanding service and commitment to creating a more restorative culture within VLGS and advocating for a restorative path while embodying restorative principles which are grounded in respect, relationship, and responsibility to the wider community. So this year's recipient is a student who embodies all of these qualities. When we talk about outstanding service and commitment to creating a more restorative justice culture here at VLS, this joint degree student serves as a student ambassador, helping other students in a myriad of ways to ensure that they are supported and included. They're involved in multiple student organizations, including the Justice Advocacy Initiative, through which she has helped host an educational program in partnership with state agencies and VLGS administrators about harm reduction and the use of naloxone here within our community. When we talk about advocating for a restorative path while embodying restorative principles grounded in respect, relationship, and responsibility to the wider community, this student certainly walks the talk. So she's living and advocating for a restorative path daily and serves the wider community as a volunteer at the Hartford Community Restorative Justice Center, and has said that going forward, she will continue to work to further restorative justice in all aspects of life. She hopes to positively influence her future legal workplace and with compassion and ensure that the organization is meaningfully supporting all those that interact with it. Our own Dean Ryan has said that she has an unbelievable passion for community care and making sure all spaces are inclusive of all persons and perspectives. So this student has her bachelor's degree from the University of Maine, and while she's receiving her March degree, I'm actually pleased to say that she's going to continue with us this next year to complete her JD, as she is a joint degree student. I'm also particularly pleased because she's in the Outdoors Club as one of the many multiple student organizations that she's a part of, and I'm the faculty advisor, so I selfishly get to enjoy some other post-cross-country ski conversations with her at my house, and also some other long conversations coming down from Kent's Ledge. Please give me a great round of applause and recognize Stephanie Piccinini as this year's recipient. I'd like to welcome back to the stage our Vice Dean of Students, Joe Brennan.
As the Vice Dean for Students, I'm in charge of the attendance policy, so I can't help but notice when people walk into the room. And two people who had received awards came in after they got their award. So I want to take a moment, if I could ask Dean Rushlow and Dean Ryan to come up just to present the awards. You're going to have to watch the video for all the nice things they said about you. But if Luis Gonzalez could come up to receive the Diversity Award from Dean Lisa Ryan. And if Marnie Avila Alvarez could come up to receive the Mark Mahaly Environmental Leadership Award from Dean Rushlow. And now you get a 3-for-1 special from me. Each year we rotate through the awards we present, and it's always a special pleasure when I get to present the Shirley Jefferson Perseverance Award for demonstrating extraordinary tenacity and perseverance in the face of adversity. Vice President Jefferson is a good friend of mine who has helped support me since the first day I showed up on this campus for my interview. I know many of you have similar stories about Vice President Jefferson and how she's been here for you as well. She's a remarkable person, and it's always a pleasure to present the award named after her. I think this is about the 5th or 6th year that we have had this award, and it's so amazing to see the wonderful and deserving recipients year in and year out continuing Vice President Jefferson's legacy. This is an award about perseverance. I think of perseverance as the story behind the story. Vice President Jefferson's story is that she told her parents that she wanted to be a lawyer. Now, she's the Vice President of Vermont Law and Graduate School. That's a good story. That's an amazing story. But the story behind the story is even better. The story behind the story is that Dean Jefferson integrated her high school in Selma, Alabama. She worked with the Civil Rights Movement, marching with Dr. King and taking part in Bloody Sunday, which was in her hometown. She moved to D.C., she got her college degree, she worked, she came up to Vermont in the middle of the night, she had a 1-year-old son, Jamal, she had a couple dollars in her pocket, and she thought, what in the world had I gotten myself into? But we're glad she came, and she stayed. And all that's before she even ever cracked a book. We're talking about perseverance here. At the advice of her mentor, Gil Kajovich, Professor Gil Kajovich, you'll know Vice President Jefferson, you always use titles. So Professor Gil Kajovich, she took 4 years to complete her degree so she could not only know, but master the material. And now she considers herself a proud alum of both the class of '85 and '86. Professor Kajovich always pushed Shirley Jefferson, student Jefferson, because he knew what she could accomplish. She always came through, even though sometimes she grumbled along the way, I hear. Then she graduated, moved back to D.C., practiced 15 years before she came back to Vermont Law and Graduate School, where she's been making her mark ever since. For most of the awards today, the presenter waited until the end to announce the award. Since this is a Perseverance Award, I decided I wouldn't wait any longer to say congratulations to Caitlin Smith. Caitlin's story is that she came to Vermont Law and Graduate School to, this is a quote from her application, understand who the planning and zoning laws benefited and the need for them, but also the need to understand the public who would be utilizing that space. Now she's headed back to Georgia with her Juris Doctor degree and a concentration in land use. That's a good story. And if we ended right there, it would be a huge success. But like Vice President Jefferson, it's the story behind the story that makes this accomplishment even more impressive. Caitlin had to leave during her first semester due to a medical issue. she needed a heart transplant. For many people, that would have understandably put their law school journey on hold at that point. Not Caitlin. I was the director of ASP and the faculty advisor for BALSA at the time. And I remember Caitlin reached out because she wanted her books and materials sent to her so that she could stay on top of the material. Caitlin's always prided herself on working twice as hard. I don't know the math, but I think that's way more than twice. In her application to law school, Caitlin spoke of her family and how hard they worked. From her grandmother, who was widowed at a young age but still sent 7 children to graduate from college. Hard work and perseverance is in Caitlin's blood. And now she is here finishing her degree. Since she started with the class of 2021, started with class of 2022, and is finishing with the class of 2023, she may even come to 2 reunions too, just like you, Dean Jefferson. Perseverance has a way of inspiring others also, and you could see that throughout Caitlin's story. Her classmates rallied to support her, and BALSA secretary, Jacqueline Waller at the time, spearheaded an effort to send a care package to Caitlin to know that we were thinking about her and kept her in her thoughts. Caitlin has also been an inspiration to many others and was asked to speak at the New Hampshire Go Red for Women American Heart Association event where she shared her story just last year. I will just end with the words from 2021 Shirley Jefferson Perseverance Award recipient Carla Usher. Caitlin is a fitting recipient for the Shirley Jefferson Perseverance Award. Caitlin is the epitome of what an award recognizes its recipients: perseverance, grit, and an unwavering commitment and determination to achieve one's goals, no matter how difficult the obstacles. Congratulations, Caitlin. You are most deserving of the Shirley Jefferson Perseverance Award. I will now ask for Professor Nicole Kaloran to come to present the Clinical Legal Education Association Outstanding Externship Student Award.
That's right, that's a mouthful. Here we go. Each year, the Clinical Legal Education Association gives the experiential faculty at Vermont Law and Graduate School an opportunity to award a student who we believe embodies some of the very best of what experiential education has to offer. Tonight, I have the great pleasure of recognizing the student our faculty selected for the Outstanding Externship Student Award. This student, soon to be a graduate, is an undergrad, got their undergrad degree from DeSales University in a really interesting mix of topics. Listen to this: political science, pre-law, national security, and a minor in theology, marriage studies, and ethical leadership. That is interesting. They also got their Master of Science in Management and their Master of Arts in Theology from Notre Dame. He's done a broad variety of jobs, everything from an assistant rector of Morrissey Manor at Notre Dame to the assistant to plant and packaging manager at Wild Pack Beverages in Baltimore. I wonder if that last one inspired one of his interests, which is listed on his resume as RTD cocktail and craft beer industry. I'm going to need some explanation for that one. He's also into large-scale grilling. I'm also interested in that one. Cooking, camping, hiking, skiing, archery, and disc golf. That's one of my favorites. He's also a certified yoga instructor and an Eagle Scout. I first met this student when I got to meet them well, I wasn't teaching it at the time. I was taking Intro to Startup Law with this student, where I was shadowing the course, trying to learn how to teach it. Had a good time in that course. Prior to meeting him a little more closely the following summer, he'd already done some work for the Center for Agricultural and Food Systems on cannabis, including regulation, labeling and packaging policies, and social equity programs in different states. This student joined me last fall in the Entrepreneurial Legal Laboratory, VCEL, where I learned how infectiously passionate he is and what a wonder he is to work with. He's absolutely delightful. He willingly jumped into everything that I asked him to do. Any client consult, any presentation, he was there, he was on it, he did his work, and he was phenomenal. He did a deep dive into one of the most challenging topics in business law, which is employee stock ownership programs and cooperatives. And this was something that it's very hard to find a student who says, I really want to do a paper on ESOPs. And the student was just on it. So he also did some excellent mentoring with some students in my Intro to Startup Law class that fall, who were guest clinicians in VCEL. I also got to work with him to find his spring externship. He's been working with INHISA in DC, which is a really cool firm that does environmental health and safety regulatory compliance work. He impressed the pants off of everyone there. He got a job there, so that's pretty cool. He designed a reporting system that the other attorneys liked so much that they decided to adopt it. And he didn't stop there. The externship seminar is very heavy in reflection. We talk about takeaways, lessons, observation, participation. Dean Locker had the pleasure of teaching this student this semester. The student showed up. He supported his classmates. He was extremely active in all the discussions. He fully embraced the awkward, messy, and beautiful process of reflection. And he set an example. There was one particular assignment where students were asked to develop a legal topic, to do a presentation, lead a discussion to their students, to their classmates. The student just did such a phenomenal job on the topic that he picked, which was how large language models like ChatGPT. And he did such a good job that he's going to become an example for our future classes. We're going to use his presentation if he'll give us permission. So I'm just tickled that I get to hand this award out. Please join me in congratulating Brian Holmes for the 2023 Outstanding Externship Student Award from CLIA. Oh, okay, now I hand it over to Dean Beth Locker, our experiential dean, who's going to, do I say the award? Okay, I'm gonna walk away.
Good evening. Yeah, I'm not Professor Meg York, who is listed on your program. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here this evening, but it's a pleasure actually to step in for her and have this honor to hand out this award. Another award that we get to give also from the Clinical Legal Education Association that Professor Kaloran just mentioned is the award for the Outstanding Clinic Student. This award is given for excellence in clinic fieldwork and for exceptionally thoughtful, self-reflective participation in an accompanying clinic seminar as nominated by the clinical faculty at Vermont Law and Graduate School. This year, our faculty unanimously selected Jaden Spitali to receive the award, and it's my pleasure to take just a minute now to tell you why he is so deserving of this award. Jaden came to the South Royalton Legal Clinic, also known as the SRLC, in the summer of 2022, working in the Family Law Project. After Jaden participated in the SRLC Summer Clinic, he went on to do an externship. I had to throw that piece in as the externship director, with a federal judge down in New Jersey, and he absolutely was amazing and represented this school so well in that position. When he returned to South Royalton in the spring of 2023, Jaden re-enrolled as an advanced clinician with the South Royalton Legal Clinic and worked on a wide range of cases, from complex divorce matters to relief from abuse hearings to child abuse and neglect cases. Jaden took his caseload seriously, working hard to build client rapport, manage client expectations, research relevant law, examine ethical issues, draft motions, memoranda, and settlement proposals, and present argument. Jaden litigated several cases, drafting and conducting examination of witnesses at in-person and remote court hearings. Many of these cases required trauma-informed and client-centered advocacy, which Jaden prioritized and in which he excelled. As an advanced clinician, Jaden not only managed his own caseload, but he also helped supervise and mentor other students in the clinic. Most notably, on March 22nd, 2023, Jaden argued before a 5-justice panel of the Vermont Supreme Court. And yes, you heard me right, he argued before the state Supreme Court, and he was amazing. The case involved representation of a teenage client and the lower court denying the client relief when another individual threatened to release her nude photographs on the internet. So this was a very weighty case. Jaden confidently asked the court to reconsider a holding it issued 3 years ago. That's a big and bold ask, especially for a student. He spent over 50 hours preparing his argument, researching and analyzing precedent, mooting, learning about the justices and SCAV practice, and examining First Amendment law. Jaden's argument was strong, both in oral advocacy and legal reasoning. He confidently fielded questions from the justices, In fact, one justice met with Jaden after his argument and commented that Jaden presented better than many practicing attorneys she had seen. Professor York, who had hoped to be here tonight, described Jaden as standing out among students she had worked with, and she said that given that VLGS students are generally hardworking and dedicated, that is a true feat. Jaden is professional, responsible, and trial-ready. He possesses an intellectual curiosity and a notable ability to see all sides of a legal issue. He's comfortable discussing legal strategy, case theories, questions, and issues as they arise, and he is always looking to deepen his knowledge. On top of all of this, Jaden is humble, expressing consistent appreciation for the opportunities the clinic has provided him, while simultaneously working on improvement. Jaden is warm, friendly, and a great colleague. He's given of his time to encourage other students to participate in experiential education and to come to Vermont Law and Graduate School. Many of us feel privileged to have had the opportunity to work with him, and I'm honored to give the 2023 Outstanding Clinic Student Award to Jaden Spitali. And so now I think I get to call President Smola up.
Well, isn't Commencement Week a joyous time? It reminds me of the words of that great philosopher, Tina Fey, who once mused, "Why can't every week be Shark Week?" Now, you'd think as president, I could follow instructions. Because no president is above the law. We hope. So I have to tell you that I felt the anxiety of a misfit when Dean Beth McCormick explained that our tradition is we don't name the name of the student to the end. I was paralyzed. I felt like Miley Cyrus. I didn't get the memo. But thank goodness, we have other lawless people who take traditions into their own hands. And thank you, Alana and Joe and Beth Locker, for naming your names ahead of time. I have the privilege of presenting the President's Leadership Award, which is given each year to the student or students who have evidenced outstanding loyalty and devotion to the Vermont Law and Graduate School community. This year, 2 students will receive the award, and I will name their names at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. Our first recipient is Bobin Park. Bobin is a graduate of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and after graduation, she will be returning to the Baltimore, Washington area. She plans to take the District of Columbia bar and to work in the district in the arena of international and environmental law. Bobin, as it turns out, a month ago, I was admitted to the District of Columbia bar. So when you know your swearing-in ceremony is scheduled, let me know, and I'll come down and congratulate you, one lawyer to another, from the District of Columbia. I mean it. Let me know. While she has been here, she has been an extraordinary law student, citizen leader, and I'm sure she will be an extraordinary lawyer, citizen leader. She served as student ambassador, She served as the Student Bar Association parliamentarian. She served as the second-year Code of Conduct Committee representative, as president of the Asian Pacific American Law Student Association, as co-chair of the Diversity Committee, Community and Events Committee. Bobin is bilingual, fluent in both English and Korean. She, while here, has provided tireless leadership on matters relating to combating embedded racism, and I'm confident that in our nation's capital, she will carry on with these values, serving society in the interest of protecting the environment, environmental justice, and social justice. So please join me in congratulating Bobin Park. Our second recipient is Carlin Molander, who brought her own cheering section. You should do the wave. Carlin graduated from the University of Vermont. Here at Vermont Law and Graduate School, she has been a master's-only student, pursuing a master's degree in agricultural law and policy. Her academic study has included legislation and regulation, agricultural and food law and policy, land use regulation, and federal regulation of food and agriculture. But she has also been there where the rubber meets the road. She's been involved in the real world of advocacy and legislation, serving as a legislative assistant in the Vermont legislature, where she has served causes advanced by organizations such as the Hunger Free Vermont, the Northeast Organic Farming Association, the Vermont Food Bank, and the Working Lands Coalition. One of our primary goals here at Vermont Law and Graduate School is to truly be both a law school and a graduate school. And that means it is enormously important that as we evolve, we ensure that our master's students have academic experiences and cultural experiences and a sense of community belonging on the same par as every other student who goes here. And Carlin has been an extraordinary leader in this last year in helping to make that happen. She joined the master's-only committee of the Vermont Law and Graduate School Alumni Board. And in that role, where she served with alumni and trustees, she's been an extraordinary leader. Let me read to you the words of one of the trustees who participated with her on that committee throughout this year. We are incredibly lucky to have Carlin Molander as the student representative of the Masters Only Committee. Her insightful comments and monthly report on campus activities and student sentiments have been invaluable, both for keeping us up to date and for helping us ensure that our goals truly reflect the needs of master's students. Her active participation has been a true asset. Hopefully, she will continue to be a member of the committee after she completes her degree. She is outstanding in every way. Kind of reminds me of Mary Poppins. Practically perfect in every way. Please join me in congratulating Carlin Molander. And I think I'm now to be joined by others at the podium who have a check to present.
Thank you, President Smalla. For me, this is the fun part of the evening because it has to do with fundraising. I'm Dave Salone, the Vice President of the Alumni Relations and Development Office. And on behalf of that office and the school, it's my pleasure and honor to welcome and introduce to you the class of 2023 class officers to present the graduating class gift to President Smola. Class President, Sarah Babcock. Class Secretary, Amanda DiDio. And not one, not two, but three class agents, which really warms my heart because, you know, it's great to spread that wealth. Kevin McElfresh, Morgan Munster, and Bobin Park as class agents. They did some amazing things and employed some extraordinary tactics to raise money from their classmates. Just really in the past few weeks, it's all sort of happened, which include a very tastefully and professionally dressed mannequin with vegetables, carrots, leeks, and curly lettuce spilling out of the pockets of the suit. They had an anonymous donor who helped match gifts that their classmates gave to this class gift. And I'm sort of afraid to ask what other tactics they might have employed, so I won't go any further than that, other than to turn this over to Sarah. Thank you so much.
As Dave mentioned, over the past month, the class of 2023 has been raising funds to pay it forward to future VLGS students by supporting two initiatives for the duration of the 2023-24 academic year. After hearing from our class how important a service-oriented gift was, and with some advice from the Student Affairs Office, we decided that all of our donations would go to two different projects. The first one would be purchasing professional attire for the on-campus clothing closet, nicknamed Charlie's Closet, and fresh produce for the student pantry. So that makes sense for the vegetables and the... There's a theme, I promise. So we wanted to extend a special thank you to all of those who have donated already. It's been really heartwarming and fulfilling to see all of the support from, yes, the class of 2023, but also from students, faculty, and staff. And we do have a big check here today, but we are accepting donations for the class gift until the end of the fiscal year. So here's my little pitch. Donations can be accepted on our crowdfunding webpage or through a cash or check if you want to find me somewhere. And then our goal is to reach 100% class participation, which is why I'm still, unfortunately, pestering you about this. We're at about 42%, so kind of a bit of a way to go too, but donations can be made in your name, so if you have family and friends here, this is your chance to shake them down, if you'd like. So, do you guys want to grab the check? You know, the big check is fun, right? Our total right now is $3,712.
Well, speaking of sharks, remember the line in Jaws? We're going to need a bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger ATM machine. Thank you so much for your leadership, and may this be the first installment of years and years of generosity, because in doing that, you ensure the possibilities of a future generation of students to enjoy this wonderful place. Thank you so much. And I think that concludes the program, and the festivities will now begin. Enjoy the evening. Enjoy tomorrow morning.